A lot of lesson 4 you are somewhat familiar with. And I think it's kind of a fun lesson because you get to change the font style and the font color and all that good kind of stuff. So I'm going to run through it very quickly. You're going to, formatting text. Formatting is how things look. Whether it's bold, italicized, underlined, whether it's red, blue, green, all sorts of things. All that is called formatting. We're going to talk about font effects, whether you emboss the font or you change it to outline or some other effects that you can add to the font. Highlighting text, which is a little bit different than changing the text color. It's not difficult. I will show you how to do that. Using the Format Painter, which you may not be familiar with. It, again, not difficult. Quick styles. You're going to learn how to use more quick styles than just the no spacing quick style and the normal quick style. You have used those two before, but now we're going to advance and use some other ones that are out there. And then you will learn how to apply a theme which has certain colors set up and certain fonts, font faces and certain text formatting that's already pre-created for you. Again, none of these are difficult. So let's go in and start. Let me just kind of run through some things. The majority of what you're going to learn in this lesson is on the Home tab in this font section right here. And again, I know some of you are familiar with it. The font face, anytime you do something to text that has already been typed, you must select it first. Alright, so you click and drag across it. Suppose I want to change the font face. Right now it's set for Calibri, but if I click down here, I get a whole bunch of different types of fonts. They are in alphabetical order. So when it tells you to change the font style, find it in alphabetical order. The most recent ones are usually put at the top, right up here. But let's make this one Broadway. That didn't make it. Okay. That changed it. The font size is right here. Drop down arrow. Notice what happens when I drag my mouse across a font size. This particular version of Word has what we call a live preview. In other words, you can see what it will look like before you actually make the selection. That one, I want it to fit on one line, so let me go back a level. So I just click there and then I deselect it, and that is the font size. Here's another way to change the font size. They call it grow the font or shrink the font. Again, you must have it selected. This will keep growing it, making it bigger. This will take it down. All right. Something I want to call your attention to, let me go back here to this list. Notice that the size goes to 72 in the list. However, you can make it as large as you want. You are not bound by just size 72. Suppose I want that to be 200. Oh, I don't have it selected. Yeah, I do. And I typed 200 in there and press enter. Now that is all size 200. Obviously it is too big, but I wanted to show you. You can make it as large as you want to fit on a piece of paper. Let me undo that. You can just type it in there. Let's go down here to these items. These are called font attributes. The B stands for bold, which just makes it a little darker. It bolds it. Italics, the I stands for italics or italicized, which makes it lean to the right. The underline, the first one will certainly put an underline under it. However, notice that this icon has a drop-down list, which means you can choose different styles of underlining. Suppose we want a double underline. So if I click double underline, notice it has the double. Also here on this drop down list, you can choose the color of your underline. By going here to underline color, it pops up with this color palette. Now folks, when you use this color palette, the colors are identified by names and by accents and shading, percent shadings on it. So you're going to have to let your mouse rest on the color to make sure you get the right, not only theme color, but the accent and the percentage. Like this is blue, accent 1, darker 50%. So use the color palette, but you will have to let your mouse rest on it. So let's just make this a dark blue, and let's go back and make it, I can do more underline styles. Oh, that takes me, that's going to open up the dialog box, which I was going to save till later, and it's taking its sweet time doing that. So let's just, I don't know whether I can cancel it or not. I'll cancel it there. So that's your underline. Here, this is another, this is a font effect to strike through. If it tells you to strike through. These icons right here, this one is subscript. Let me show you what that is. Suppose you need to type the formula for water. It's H. Well, it's really a capital H, isn't it? H. And notice the subscript, the number 2, is below the line of type. And then I turn that off and I type the O. That is what subscript is. We did superscript, which means it's above the line of type. So these are very useful if you have to type chemical formulas from the periodic table. Very useful. This particular one right here that is change case, suppose you typed it and then you notice that it needed to be in all caps or uppercase. Well, you do not have to delete it and retype it. Just go to the change case icon and choose uppercase. And there it put it in all caps. Let me get rid of this now. So that is another way to change the case. So when it tells you to change case, it is right here. And click on the drop down arrow and it will give you choices. Now, let me talk to you about highlighters. The highlighting is much like taking a highlighter like you do in your textbooks or your notes and dragging across it with the highlighter. Right now the highlighter is set for yellow, but if I want to change it, say to green, notice I choose green and it highlights it. Highlighting does not change the color of the text. So if you change the color of text, that is not highlighting. Notice this, let me blow it up so you can see it. This text is still black color. The font color is still black. It's just highlighted behind it. Another way you could do that, if you want to click here and turn the highlighter on, notice my mouse is now just like the highlighter pen. It will highlight it in whatever color that is there. So, and it stays turned on until you click up there and turn it off again. Now it's off. It doesn't matter how you highlight it, whether you select the text and then choose the highlight color up here, or turn on the highlighter pen, choose the color and use it down here. I don't care which way you highlight the text. All you need to remember is highlighting does not change the font color. This particular icon right here does change the font color. So if I highlight this or select it, let me use that word, should say select, and maybe I want to make the text red. Now it is highlighted in green, but the font color is red. Can everyone, I know that probably does not show up as red to you. Two different coloring. Your font color is right here. Again, you can use the drop down arrow to get the color palette. You will mainly stay on the color palette. For more colors, you can go out here to this big rainbow, but you do not get the color names. You just get to choose one. I think for the most part you can stay on the color palette and get the colors they want. Suppose I want to get rid of all of this formatting that I have applied to the document. Let's do select all. And here is the clear formatting button right here. If I click clear, it doesn't change the font size, but it does. Oh, it's just blown up. Notice it did not remove the highlighting. So let me go back and change off my highlighting, which means no color. Who knows how to select items that are not next to each other? What's the key you hold down? What do we use? Control. So I selected prices. If I hold down the control key and drag across seating, notice they're both selected now, and I can change no color to highlighting, and that takes care of both of them. Let me take this back down to regular. That is the font. Now, let me talk to you about font effects, folks. When it tells you to add font effects, you have to go right here and open the dialog box by opening up this button right here. Now, this is where you can also change your font type right here. It goes with this one. Here's your font style, whether it's bold, italics. This is the long way. Here you can change the size. Here you can change the font color. Here you can change the underline style. And if you do, oh crud, let me highlight this. Go back to that. Suppose I change it to a wavy line. Then I get the color to apply it to. Again, that was all right here. This is the shortcut. Let me change this. I don't have a clue what that's going to look like, but let's make it big. Because the only way you can get to some of these font effects like shadow, outline, emboss, engrave is through the dialog box. So if I wanted to change this to outline, I get a preview right down here of what the text is going to look like. So when it says to change the font to emboss, you have to go to the font dialog box under effects. Suppose it also says to change it to small caps. There I can check both of them at the same time. And then click OK, and it will apply whatever effect I chose in there. And some of you are not going to remember it, but emboss, shadow, outline, and engrave, you have to go to the dialog box to change it. Alright, suppose I get this line all set up the way I want it. I get it colored the way I want it. I get the underline style. I get the font effect. All that good kind of stuff. And I want these other three lines to look the same way. And you go, oh geez, do I have to do those all separately? No. What you do is got this one all set up, select it. Then right up here on the clipboard, there is a little paintbrush called the Format Painter. If you're going to use the Format Painter more than once, double click on it. Notice now when I pull it down here, my mouse is a paintbrush. If I just click and drag across it, or I can double click on the word, it will automatically copy or paint the formatting from this first line to everything I double click on. That is the paintbrush. That is a time-saving device. When you finish with it, just click one time on the paintbrush to turn it off. Again, it's a toggle key. So that is the Format Painter right up here. Let's go. Let me select all of this again, and let's clear the formatting. Notice I do not have any of that done. And let me talk to you about quick styles. Quick styles are right here. Folks, again, your quick styles are on your home tab right here. They just have the word styles. You've used no spacing and normal before. Notice here there is a scroll bar. If I click on that drop down arrow, it expands out and gives you a whole bunch list of other ones. Suppose it tells you to apply the title quick style to the title. You've selected the text, just go over here and click title. They have a name, the title quick style. Now suppose it says to apply the heading to style to all these other words. What I would do is click on one, hold down the control key, scroll down and click on the other one, go to the list and click on heading 2. And that applies the heading 2 quick style to whatever you had selected. It's a time-saving device. There are already pre-created layouts and formats for you. One other thing I need to talk to you about is the theme. They also have color formats and font formats created in what we call themes. This is kind of hides. It's under the page layout tab right over here under themes. You click the drop down arrow. It will tell you what each theme has a name. It'll tell you which one to use. Just click on it and it will change the coloring to whatever theme. It'll also change the font to whatever was set up in that theme. A little bit like quick styles, but yet a little different also. So, and the main thing is to remember themes is under the page layout tab. Click right here under the themes and choose one. Notice when I chose a different one, it changed the coloring of it and affected whatever was pre-created in that theme.